Hi, this is Runa, and you're listening to the Changemakers podcast, where we share tips, insight, tools, and stories from other changemakers designed to motivate you to become the change you want to see in your world. Make sure you join our Changemakers community at runamagnus.com/podcast. And now, this is your time to sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Welcome, Maríanna Magnúsdóttir. You're not my sister, although we have the same last name. Welcome to the Changemakers podcast. Maríanna, to start with, before I press the record button, we were talking about how I should introduce you, and we started immediately going to the status box. Tell us, what's your status box today? Just to begin with.
Well, my status right now is I'm just being myself. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful children, and I'm just really standing for the uniqueness of every individual and believing that somehow together we can do so magnificent things. But we just really have to let go of all those limitations like a status box, because even though if I would have a status today of being a transformational trainer or whatever, I would then switch maybe a job, I would still be me. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we do hang on to this, all the different letters that we might be able to have behind our names that are then indicating that how we are associating ourselves into a certain box, into a certain area, which is so interesting. I really wanted to get you as a guest in our Changemakers podcast for many reasons. One of them is how you are, the work that you're doing in the world regarding building businesses and helping leaders to create businesses that are human workplaces, like you call it. Can you share with us, first of all, what is a human workplace?
That is such a huge question. But a human workplace for me would be that I can show up being my true, unique self. And the value that I bring is really appreciated. So I belong to a team which is really connected. And together we unite through a meaningful purpose. And it's safe. It's safe physically and psychologically to run experiments and, learn on the way and adapt, going through that united goal or purpose that we're trying to achieve in a way that we bring sustainable results and have positive impact. So for me, being in a human workplace is basically where I would be able to be a puzzle in that picture where I could actually shine and everybody cares. So it's maybe like for some it would be like a family, while for others it would just being the individual me. So I don't know how people would relate to that, but it's a place that's safe and I get to be my true authentic self.
It sounds like the human workspace place is really something where people that have adapted to moving themselves out of the boxes into the human space would really like to evolve in and grow in. Exactly. It sounds so beautiful, and at the same time, I can just envision and I can feel both people wanting it, and at the same time, people go, well, we have never done that. That's going to be so hard. And right now, as we are in the COVID-19 time, that space where everything seems to be changing, and there's a lot of speculations around what will change completely, what will be the same going back to the norm. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the leader out there who is maybe working on how can I continue to build on what I had, but I want to use this new phase as a way to really do something different and get new, different results, better results. What are the things that you would say he or she needs to do in order to move into that.
Yeah, sure. For one, if we want to do things differently, then we have to look at what are our patterns and habits, and we have to really choose which ones were the good ones and that were actually driving some value, and which ones are just total maybe waste. But at the time, we maybe believed that that was value adding, but maybe it's not, because we've learned through the COVID time period that we haven't had to do that. But to answer your first questions, because that was like 5 questions, I think.
That's me.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, we are gathering so much knowledge and experiences from all the great people out there. But we can read all the books and we can get all the tools and go on and on and on. But why is it still so difficult? From my point of view, that's because the change starts with ourselves. This is not something that you can buy, or it's not a plug and play toolkit. This is something that you have to earn, and this is something that you have to practice and practice every day. So that is what is challenging. And what is challenging is learning. It's learning to see, is my mindset and my intention in the daily management of my organization and my behavior, is it a human one or is it a robotic one?
Yeah.
So maybe I would want to take you on the trip of looking into learning to see the way I've chosen to manage. Probably a lot of good things going on there, but if I would just learn to see, is that way a human way?
Mm-hmm.
How do my employees feel? How is the workload? I mean, going into the COVID period, how did I respond? I mean, the communication parts. Are we making space, creating space every single day to develop people? Mm-hmm. Because if we would have a company A and a company B, we could have basically the same vision, the same strategy, same policies, the same processes, same technology. I mean, even same chairs and tables. I mean, this is all these we can buy or do in a workshop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what would differentiate the two is the people, and the people cannot be in both places. So you have totally unique people in company A and company B. And those people and the management system around them, that's what creates the culture to drive your results. So where's our focus? Is our focus on all the strategy and process stuff? Or is it on the management system of how we are like really taking care of our people? So I would encourage you to look into, what does my management system look like? And how do you experience being in that environment?
Yeah, management system. And it's just noticing for yourself that you have a management system. That awareness, just to notice, oh, so that's a system that I have. I think that's a great step to start.
Of course, I mean, just communicating. We communicate in a systematic way. I'm not talking a system like an IT system. This is just how we behave. If we would look into nature, that's a system.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where things flow and grow. What we would want to see in the management system is that the value is flowing and the people are growing.
Exactly. I love that. And it's really aligned with what we're doing with No More Boxes movement. It really is to allow that that flow to appear when we are so used to all the having all the structure, which, by the way, nothing against it, but when it becomes too rigid and it's like, this is your job description, it's exactly like this, and now it's in the shelf and you're not supposed to do anything else. That's a bit of a robot. And we have, I think, plenty of them at the moment learning how to do that really, really well, better than any human being, the robot part. It's really, because that's another thing in this whole thing, to create a human workplace. When we are looking at the AI systems that are in evolving as we speak, and it's just gonna come, I think, gonna come at full force at us. So some of these things are good, some of the things are bad, and I know that, you know, there are things that are ugly, you know, how that's going to evolve. I would love to hear from you on that IT thinking and that AI as well, the AI systems that are coming in and more robots that are coming in and going to be helpful, but are also going to be not so helpful, or could be not. One of the things that I hear people around me say again and again, more meetings are going to take place on platforms like this one, Zoom, that we're using to record this interview. And it's going to take less time, it's going to be more productive, you know, and there's a lot of good things about that. How can that turn into be a really bad box or even an ugly box for a leader that does not have that mindset of human growth? Can you share with us, because I know you have a story there to share with us, how a platform like this has been used exactly in the opposite way? It was not human, it was not really productive.
Yeah, so many people have exactly told me, like, yeah, of course we're going to be having these virtual meetings more often. And I mean, that is so cool that you're able to have a flexible life. I mean, being at home and taking a meeting instead of going to the office, you know, there are a lot of things there. Okay, so we can see the good stuff there. But if we would put the focus on where it could go bad, that would be when we would be really thinking about too extremely of results and the efficiency of results, that we forget the human part. So if we start like meetings and we're no chit chat, yada yada, I don't care how you feel, just tell me what you're doing and how are you making some success, basically. So we have to remember that even though we're virtual, we still have the need for connection. We still have the need for kindness and belonging and empathy and understanding that maybe I have 3 kids here running around and it's stressful. Mm-hmm. So we're not allowed to cut off the human part and be only focused on the results, because we really have to have the balance between building relationships and having results, so that we can build a human workplace where people enjoy themselves. Because home and work are not 2 individual things, they combine. I'm still the same person living in both places, right? So the story that you were referring to is, I mean, we've been looking into how organizations all over the world are really responding to this COVID period. And really, I think that their true identity becomes transparent in a time like this. I think the culture really comes up to the surface and we can observe how the culture truly is. So is the culture being from the intention of being human, or is it on the intention of being robotic, if you will use that word? So that this is a company that basically responded to this period by having to lay off a lot of people. And their method was to gather into a virtual meeting in Zoom, like we're in right now. And they had like a countdown, and like the meeting starts in, and just like a timer. And then the people, they got like a few seconds of a message, like the people on this call that are going to be laid off within this time period, and then just goodbye. So there was nobody there to like explain the circumstance. There's nobody there to have a 2-way communication. This is like a 1-way command and control thing.
It reminds me of like the TV show The X Factor, you know, when they put people into 3 different rooms, and you know that one room is not going to go through, but the other 2 rooms are going to go through. And this is like countdown, and then you're there, you're waiting for this, and you're full. You in this room, you're going to lose your job. Thank you very much. Off you go.
You can imagine the experience being that employee and all the emotions and everything that came afterwards.
Yeah.
They going back to their families and it's like, what just happened? And you know, the turbulence that this made. I mean, there's nothing human about it. Nothing.
No. Wow. So a platform like this, which can absolutely connect us together in the best possibly human way, can as well be the platform that can give other people, that can give people the worst experience ever. So really being mindful about that and aware that we're always dealing with human beings.
Yeah, and it's if it's a virtual platform or a face-to-face platform, it's always with what intention am I going into this? How am I going to communicate? Where am I coming from?
Yeah, great. I'm going to end this podcast with those words. I think they are fabulous. Where am I coming from? What is the purpose? My intention into that space? Maríanna, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
I think the best way would be through LinkedIn, or even by email, Maríanna@manino.is. So
we will put everything in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
But and I highly recommend that you go and check out her LinkedIn profile and what you're sharing there. I find it always very useful and entertaining and insightful. So on that note, thank you so much, Maríanna, for sharing your wisdom.
Likewise, enjoy it.
Was this podcast of value for you? I sure hope so. If so, feel free to share the love and give us your generous review on iTunes or Stitcher. And remember that you can always go to runemagnus.com to find out more about the Changemakers and how we can help you drive the change you want to see in your world.